All right, so in today's class, we will be reviewing the report that was assigned as homework from the specimen paper 2024, paper 1, exercise 6. Right, so just going over the question again. Your class recently took part in a one-day sports festival for local schools. The organizers want students' opinions about the sports festival, and you have been asked to write a report.
Sir, I can't see your screen.
Right, thank you for pointing that out. In your report, say what was enjoyable about the sports festival and suggest how it could be improved. Here are some comments from students in your class. It was a chance to meet students from other schools. There weren't many new sports to try. I learned a lot about fitness. We spent too much time listening to instructions. Right now, write a report for the organization, for the organizers of the sports festival. The comments above may give you some ideas, and you should also use some ideas of your own. Write about 120 to 160 words, and the mark allocation 6 marks for content and 9 marks for language used. Now moving to your submission, and suggestion. So first off, right, what's our word count?
I think it's 175.
It is a total of 175, right? So it is again more than the upper limit, but okay, I did just jump to 181. Is it counting? Actually, it's counting the heading I gave as well. Okay. All right, so the actual report is 175. I've already mentioned a lot about the word count and how you can go over and all that, so I'm not going to repeat that. Let's read it out first. The sports festival for local schools. So that's your heading for the report. That's fine. You have used subheadings. That's also good. Let's see how well they work. Introduction. In response to a request from the event organizers, I've written this report about the one-day sports festival my class attended yesterday. I have interviewed my classmates and the feedbacks are below. Okay. Positive points. Most students learned a lot from the fitness experts, mainly about diet, exercise, the importance taking care of ourselves, and what sports are the most beneficial to our bodies. For example, tennis, swimming, and cycling. However, the most time-consuming part of the festival was the meet and greet where students from different schools got a chance to socialize and make new friends. Okay. Negative
Yes,
points.
sir. For the positive points, the importance, I forgot to put the off
Yeah,
first
right,
line.
right. So there are a few things that Google Docs is highlighting, and so that's most likely something that we want to take a look at. Negative points. Although many enjoyed, some were disappointed because there were not many sports in which students could participate. They said that the only sports that were available were the ones they usually played. Also, a few felt that they spent too much time listening to instructions. Suggestions. I would suggest that the event to be held for longer. I would also recommend that some more sports would be added in the future. Okay, right. So we know that some improvement is required. There are a few mistakes, some technical errors. So let's see what we can do to improve on this. First of all, let's take a look at what Google has to say. Right, so what's wrong over here? It's saying that it should be just feedback. Okay, so we'll go with that. And then this should probably be is, yes, feedback is below. Right? Because they're taking feedback as a whole, not individual responses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but the way I met was like I took interviews from my classmates, and that's like plural.
Right.
So there's
So
more people.
so what you want, and you could say their responses are below, right? So the response is considered individual, person to person, but all the responses taken together is considered feedback. So right, feedback can include multiple responses, but the word, right, so there's, right, feedbacks could be, right, in if you're using it as a plural, it could be in the scenario where you took responses for different events or different years the event was held, right? So for example, you compared the feedbacks of the event over 3 years, for example, but you're just talking about one event. Okay, so for that,
Okay.
right, one feedback overall, right? Again, the feedback will include multiple responses from all your classmates. Okay.
Okay.
What else is Google highlighting? You also caught on to this, of the importance of taking care. And although many enjoy it, so we got that. And I would suggest the event to be held. So they're going to cut out the two. The event be held for you. Okay. So I agree with those, and so those are corrections suggested by Google. Right. Now let's take a look at this again. Uh, I want to bring the word limit down, right? And
Yes.
so, and so, right? Instead of saying in response to a request, I don't want to say that. I'm going to say as requested by event organizers. I have written this report about the one-day sports festival my class attended yesterday. Right? You can remove the have. I interviewed my classmates, and let's make this their feedback is below. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Positive thoughts. Most students learned a lot from the fitness experts, mainly about diet, exercise, the importance of taking care of ourselves, and which sports, not what, but which. And you want to maintain your tense, right? So you're not going to use are, you're going to use were, the most beneficial for our bodies. Now this sentence is rather long. Can I break it up? Hmm. Okay, for example, tennis, swimming, and surfing. However, moving on. In fact, you know what? Let's keep this as it is. Then, however, the most time-consuming part of the festival was the meet and greet where students from different schools got a chance to socialize and make new friends. Now, when you're saying time-consuming, right, it gives like a negative context to it, right? As if it took up most of the time in something that you did not want, right? So instead of saying time-consuming, you could give it something positive, right? The most, what's the word? It's just there at the tip of my tongue. Uh, right, you get positive responses. The most well received. So the most well received part. Right now, saying well received gives it a positive touch. Does it seem like that way?
Yes.
Right, the most well received part of the festival was the meet and greet. The students from different schools got a chance to socialize and make new friends. Okay. Although many enjoyed it, some were disappointed because there were not many sports and the students could participate. They said that the only sports that were available. Okay, uh, there were there were not many sports in which they could participate. They said that the only sports that were available were the ones they usually play. Are these two pointing towards the same thing? Before I go on to change it, in an attempt to improve it, saying that there were not many sports in which they could participate, is that saying that, well, we couldn't participate in it because they were all the things that we played, or right, we usually play, or we could not participate because there wasn't enough like area for us to play? Like what do you mean by they couldn't participate?
Like they couldn't participate as in like the sports which were like there in the festival weren't any of the sports which were new.
Okay, so you're uh, referring to the fact that there was nothing new.
Yes.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to cut out this whole part and I'm going to write some were disappointed because almost all sports sports offered were ones they usually play. Does that seem fine to you?
Yes.
Okay,
I think you could remove the almost.
right. So we don't want the impression that there was maybe one or two sports that were new. Nothing was new.
Yes.
right? Because all the sports offered are ones they usually play. Also, right, and instead of the also, you can right use furthermore. A few felt that they spent too much time listening to instructions. Okay. Suggestions, I would suggest that the event be held for longer. We can do without the that. I would suggest the event should be held for longer. Achha, can we improve on that? It was a one day. Can we improve that phrasing? The event should be held for longer. Okay. The let's do this. So remove that. And you can write that the duration of the event should be longer or extended. Achha, when you're writing your actual report, I'm putting like slashes for options for what you could write. In your actual writing, never do that. I've seen students doing that. That if they're like confused in their mind, should I use this word or that word? What they do is they write both words with a slash in between. Never do that in your actual writing. The only reason I'm putting it over here is as a suggestion to you that you can write it this way or that way. Both are fine. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. I would also recommend that some more, instead of saying more, because more does not mean new. They could add more sports that you are, you know, used to already, that you're familiar with. So some,
New.
yeah, just say new instead of more. New sports. I would also recommend that some new sports, we don't need the would over here, be added in the future. Right? Now, obviously, what I'm going to do is, right, so do you have any other suggestions or anything to ask about this?
No.
Okay,
No.
seems good. Seems good.
Yes.
I'm going to return that to you. And after returning it, if I just cut out the parts just to see what the word limit is. You can see we are already under what we started, right? You can see the word count at the
Yes.
bottom left.
Yes. Yes.
And So not only will we try to improve the writing overall, but we worded in such a way that we should be around the word limit, or within the word limit, hopefully. That's 163 words in total, and 157, so just within the limit, right at the upper end. That's good, huh?
Yes.
Okay, so that is done, right? We just undo all the right removals. Okay. All right, so that is that.
Yes, sir.
All right, now moving on, since we have time for class, and let me just switch screens for you. So, right, you can see the specimen paper, 2024 specimen paper, and this is paper 2, which is listening. Now, I won't be going into, like, we won't be starting with practicing the listening paper, but this is just an overview of the kind of questions there are. Right, now it's all multiple choice, and you have approximately 50 minutes, including 6 minutes of transfer time. What that means is, right, you will hear the audios, you will mark your answers on this question paper, and then they will give you a separate answer sheet, right, on which you will have to remark all your answers according to the question numbers given on the sheet. Okay, so the sheet will have only the
Okay.
question number and then the options A, B, C, D, or whatever it is. Okay, and so you'll have to mark your answers on the answer sheet, and this is the answer sheet that will actually be checked. There are a total of 40 questions. Each question worth 1 mark, so a total of 40 marks. Use a soft pencil, so don't mark anything with a pen. Okay, no correctional fluids. Do not write on the barcode. Dictionaries are not allowed, obviously. Right? Any rough work should be done on this question paper. So if you're doubtful about an option, or you have like you're thinking, so write it on the question paper. Don't scribble, don't mark anything other than your correct answer, your chosen answer on the answer sheet. All right. If you need to use a soft eraser, and yeah, obviously name, center number, candidate number, right? It will be on the answer sheet, right? So as you can see, there's nothing given over here. So it's important to write your name, center number, and candidate number on the answer sheet. Now, right, exercise 1, there are multiple questions. You each will hear short recordings, right? And whatever is mentioned, the recording is represented over here as images. And the question is given, for example, what did the boy and girl decide to do in the afternoon? Right, so they decide to go for a walk, or go to some building, or go cycling, or go to the beach. And the tricky thing is that in that short audio, they will mention just about all 4 of those things, right? But they will
Yes.
sort of hint towards, or stress on, or clearly state, depending on the difficulty level of the question, uh, right, which one they're actually going to do. So they might be discussing, oh, let's go for a walk. Oh, we can do that on the weekend. Let's go cycling, right? Oh, I went cycling yesterday. We could visit the library. Oh, it's closed today. Okay, let's go surfing. So what's the actual answer? Let's go surfing. But they did mention the other 3 options as well. All right. Uh, each recording,
Yes.
each recording will be played twice, right? So you mark it once, and just to make sure, hear it again carefully. You don't get overconfident and you're like, yeah, I know the answer. Even if you think that your answer is correct, still hear it second time. It's not to get confused, it's just to be sure. If you are confused, if you're not sure, what the correct answer is, then you definitely, obviously, need to listen to the recording the second time very, very carefully. Right? And so you've got a number of questions for exercise one, right? All being detailed with these images, and you have to choose the correct one. So you have 8 questions in exercise one. Then you come to exercise two. And in this one, it's more like a conversation between people. And this time you only have 3 options for each question, right? A, B, or C. And you will read all of these, right, before you begin, right? So one recording will have 2 questions, question 9 and 10 for the same recording, and you will hear the whole recording, and in that you will pick out the answers for question 9 and question 10. They're not going to stop and tell you, oh, this is the part for question 9 and this is the part for question 10. They just play the recording whole, and you have to pick out the answer. They'll play it twice, obviously. Then, right, you will hear a teacher giving some information. So a second audio with 2 questions, same scenario, right? Questions 13 and 14, a different thing, 2 friends talking about a music website, right? 15 and 16, and 17 and 18, right? So those are all the audios that we'll be listening to for exercise 2, right? Each audio will cater to 2 questions, with each question will have 3 options. Question 3 will be a talk, right? It will be sort of a monologue by someone. And so that entire audio will play, and that's why they will give you like a minute and ask you read all the questions. So question 19 to 26, right? And so they might split the audio into 2 parts, and they'll ask you, well, okay, right, read question 19 to 22 and then 23 to 26, or they'll tell you read all of it together so that you know what questions are being asked. And so when the audio starts playing, right, you have to pay attention to the audio carefully and move along with the questions, because as the audio is progressing, you are getting answers for question 19, then 20, then 21, and it goes all the way till 26. So again, they're not going to stop and tell you, oh, this is the part for question 26. No. And of course, there will be additional information as well, and that's what makes it challenging. They're picking out the correct answer from in between everything else. Also, as the exercise progress from 1 to onwards, we're in exercise 3 now of the listening paper. And so, right, the speed of their talking will get faster. The information they're giving will become, will increase, and the vocabulary will get more challenging, and their accents might change, right? By the time you reach exercise 5, the accent might be a bit difficult, just a bit difficult for you to follow, but not something that it's impossible. It just might be a bit of an accent. And so that is the difficulty and challenge level of the listening paper, right? So as you progress, the audios, right, increasingly become ever so slightly challenging. So that's exercise 3. Then you got a blank page over here. Exercise 4, you will hear 6 people, right, talk on a certain topic. The topic over here is, right, 6 people talking about clubs they belong. And they've given you 8 options, right? Only 6 of those options are useful. As they say over here, there are 2 extra letters which you do not need to use. So that's one of the things that are going to make the challenge for you. Okay, so before you begin, read the statements, all 8 of these statements. Another part of the challenge is the words written, just like we saw in the comprehension, right? Paper 1, exercise 1 to 4. The wording over there, the wording used in the question was not the same as the wording in the text. Over here, the wording given over here, for example, I joined the club because I wanted to make new friends. Whoever is giving this idea, will not use those exact words. They will use some other words, they will frame it differently, but the meaning of what they're saying will be is because they wanted to make new friends. And so you need to make that connection. All right. So
Yeah.
so you read these options and then they will start going by speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, all the way up till speaker 6, right? And as you hear speaker 1, you go, okay, fine. So speaker 1 might be D, for example. And so you write it down. And similarly, all the way. And so you see, you'll have 6 options. None of the options will be repeated. Okay, there will be no repeat.
Okay.
There will be no repeat options. So it's not like you chose D for speaker 1, and so D can be for speaker 5 as well. No. Right? There will only be 2 options that will be left unused because that's what they said. There are 2 extra letters which you do not need to use. Okay, now in this question, specifically the second round of the recording is very important. Okay, so when the second round comes up and they play each speaker again, and so you need to listen very carefully, you need to have these ideas in front of you, and you need to make sure that what the speaker is saying matches with the idea I have chosen for them. Then exercise 5, which is the last exercise of the paper, right? And this will be an interview, right? So questions 33 to 40, 3 options for each, right? It will obviously be a different interview each time. One good thing about this, easy thing is the interviewer will ask a question, and then whoever the interviewee is will respond to it. Every question the interviewer asks will correspond to one of the questions given over here. So the first question the interview will ask is, tell us about your childhood. And so in this case, Gillian or Gillian, however this is pronounced, right, will start talking, and then she'll say one of these things and you need to pick it out. Then the interview will ask the next question, and the next question will move you to question number 34, and then the next, and then the next, all the way up till question number 40. All right, so every time the interviewer asks a question, you know that you have to move to the next question of the paper. All right.
Okay.
So that's one good thing about this particular exercise. But again, the information they gave, and one thing that is constant throughout, right, in these kind of like multiple choices, is that they will mention something that is related to all 3 options. And you need to pick one which is correct.
Okay.
Right? So that is an overview of the listening paper. And so next class we'll attempt 1. And yeah, that's all for today. So any questions?
No.
Then I will see you next class, inshallah.
Okay. Allah Hafiz.
Yeah.